Ladies and gentlemen, today is February 24th, 2014, and this is the KNKL Show, episode 168. I'm your host, Kienan Lafferty. I meant to click this one. I meant to click that one. This is the show where we learn to be better artists and work the camera with our new rig. Yeah. Today we're going to be jumping into the marketing piece for Diablo 3 and the upcoming release of Reaper of Souls. And I'm going to be taking you through my entire process from beginning to end. That is what we are calling this series, from beginning to end. If you want to see how I got to this point, simply check the episode prior to this. It'll be 167. Hey, how about that? But if you're ready to go, we're going to go and continue with some live things, some live tutorials. So, what we're going to be doing today is I'm going to be demonstrating to you my actual process when I start refining the sketches, right? I've laid down the broad strokes, and now we're going to begin refining. And for those of you who watched the last episode, you will know that I do have some references of what I want my characters to look like, as well as the general styling and all that good stuff. And we're going to focus on the sexy lady monk. So that's going to be on the other screen. You're not going to see it, but I will. And I'm going to begin refining. So let's go ahead and get into that. So the first thing that you may notice that I do is I take these lines, and I duplicate them up immediately. And the reason I do that is because, heaven forbid, I make a terrible mistake and I need to go back and fix it, okay? So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to show you basically how I do this, okay? So there's little subtleties within like this little sketch that I want to preserve as much as possible. And I'm going to start with the face, basically, okay? So I'm going to kind of erase the face a little bit, and I'm going to go back in and just kind of erase it, and then I go back in and I draw it again in a way, but just kind of refine things. Making sure to check out the measurements, taking a look at the measurements that were there before, making sure I'm not losing the character that I want to bring to the final piece. So, what I really liked about this character over here is I like that she has like really high ears, and then I kind of stretched out her jawline a little bit. So those are the main things that I'm going to be looking for. And I'm actually not too worried about, I can already tell her head is probably going to be a little bit big. But luckily we have the magical lasso tool. I'm going to go ahead and take care of that right now. So I'm probably going to want something a little bit more like that. It'll also help push the perspective that we're trying to capture here. So, so yes, basically all I'm doing is I'm refining lines. And really, I think the most important part is the face. Once you get the face, it's like everything else just falls into place. You know, and that rhymed unintentionally. But that's a good way to remember it. So, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and flip back and forth between these two, because I just want to reference and make sure I'm getting this mouth correct. Because I want her to be kind of like not too snarly, not too ticked off, but I don't want her to be like too feminine with like the fish lips sticking out, you know, like some girl on Facebook. I don't want her to look like that. No Facebook fish lips. Natural fish lips. Okay, so I am going to have to take these eyes and push them up just a little bit. Probably something like that. And I want you guys more than anything to notice how like rough I still am working in. I'm still working in a very rough style. And this computer, seriously, I love everything about this new computer other than the fact that the CPU fan on it is really loud. It's really loud, and I hope it does not interfere with the tutorial. But I got a better CPU cooling fan at the beginning, but it didn't work. It didn't work. It was not the proper choice. It's not the right thing to do. Alright, so, anyway, but that is another conversation for another time. I'm going to focus right here. Focus right on this. And I want her eyes. Eyes are super, super important. So I want you guys to make sure that whenever you draw your eyes, make sure you examine them very closely, because the eyelids being open just a little bit wider can make your characters look, it can go from tired looking to fearsome looking. And you do all that just by opening the eye a little bit. So I'm going to do that right there. Witness. There we go. Now she has these really accentuated cheekbones that I really like too. I want to make sure I don't lose those. I'm just going to put some lines over here for good measure. And I'm probably going to kick her pupils up a little bit more. Nice and small like that. Yes. And this is basically how I do it. A lot of people think that when you draw pictures, you have to, like, here's a way that I used to do it, right? Here's a way that I used to do it that I want you guys to try to stay away from. The way that I teach people to draw is work with thick lines first, like sculpt the picture out of it, right? And I know you don't do it with a pencil and paper because, you know, obviously you can't do that, right? It would wear out your eraser and, you know, your hand a lot if you did that all the time. But when you're working with digital, it's different. Digital media, it allows you to basically erase completely to the point where it never existed. And that's really cool. Whereas with pencil paper, you know, you got like smudge effects and, you know, you got the smudge effects, not even real IRL smudge effects. You got those, you've got, you know, it's just like it's so much more messy. And there's always like the indent in the paper from where the pencil was. So you don't want none of that. But this is how I teach people to draw in digital, is let the computer do some of the work for you. Take advantage of the things that the computer offers you. Okay? So draw like that and then erase out. And take advantage of it like this. Like I'll shade stuff like this really quickly, you know, just to get an idea of how something is going to work. And that's basically what we've done here. Okie dokie artichoke. And the other thing is you just like say, hey, those eyes are a little low. You can literally just lasso them. Just lasso them and move them up. Doesn't matter. Nobody's grading you on a test. All that matters in digital art, as I've said before, is the result. The result is the only thing that matters. Okay? So just remember that. Remember that. And use everything that is at your disposal to your advantage. Don't get caught in the trap of, oh, well, that's not what a good artist would do. Like I used to. I used to tell myself that all the time. I was like, oh, a good artist wouldn't have to rely on the lasso tool. A good artist would just be able to draw the picture perfectly right from the beginning. You wouldn't have to worry about, what is this Photoshop? What is this? It is treachery. It is treachery and a terrible curse upon pure artists such as myself. And I do not need those things. And yeah, I was really dumb. I was really dumb. So don't do that, okay? Okay, now that we've got that out of the way, let's continue with this. I really like the shape of the hair that's going through here. I'm probably going to pull a little bit more down through here, kind of cover up a little bit more of the eye. So we got a little bit more of this going on. And I'm probably going to end up shadowing this eye a little bit more, placing it in a bit more shadow. Really liking this cheekbone, how it's coming up like that. And this might be termed something people like to call happy accidents. And happy accidents happen when you are working loosely, when you're not trying, you are in the zone, right? You ever notice when you're in the zone as an artist, you're not trying? That's how you actually get into the zone, is by not trying. The more you try, the less you are going to be able to be creative, the less you are going to be able to let your true power and your true colors shine through. So I really encourage people to practice the art. It really is something that demands practice, and it is a skill. Not trying while you're drawing is a skill. And it's something that I've worked along, like my whole life. My whole life, I've been trying to learn how to draw without thinking as much. Without thinking as, you know, just draw what you feel, you know? And it's really cool. And oftentimes, I mean, I used to get super self-conscious and kind of embarrassed when I would have to draw in front of people, right? And to an extent, I still kind of do. Sometimes on the show when I was like, oh, I got to give a tutorial on this thing, and I don't know exactly, I've never given a tutorial on this before. And I know that people are going to be watching this later, or I'm doing a live show and people are watching me right then. It's really easy to get kind of flustered and kind of nervous. But really, in the end of it all, it's like, it doesn't matter whether what I draw right here, it doesn't matter whether this face really looks good or not. It doesn't matter whether, you know, I'm going to end up with this final, like what I'm drawing here does not have to be the final thing. And, you know, because I can always fix it later. You know, all that matters is the result. And that's kind of what I'm trying to teach you guys today. That's what I'm hoping to accomplish with showing you my full process, rather. My full process involves me not doing it right the first few times. Sometimes I'll get it right. Sometimes I'll encounter something really good or something freaking awesome, and it'll work. But oftentimes it doesn't. Oftentimes it doesn't. But if it doesn't go through the first time, it usually goes through the second time. That's the other thing I've noticed. Stuff that doesn't go through the first time usually works the second time you try it. The problem is, a lot of people don't want to try it the second time. They fail once and they're like, ooh, oh, that hurts so bad. Oh, I can't do that again. What if I try and fail again? You know, and you don't want to do that. So don't do that. You just got to keep hammering away at it with whatever you're trying to learn. You know? And slowly but surely, you will make headway. Okay, so you can see, basically, that's how I've gone from this right here to this. I've shown you real time how I have sculpted this face out of that. Okay? So now I'm going to go ahead and continue downwards. Once again, taking a look at our designs that we've laid down for the clothing of our monks. Let's go ahead and continue with that. I still feel like her eyes, man, I'm a fan of the big eyes for like comics, but I really got a kick out of making her eyes just a tad bit smaller than normal. A little bit more realistic. Because like I said in the first episode, I love injecting a little bit of my style into everything that I do. And I think it's something that's really important that you need to do, that all artists must do. But, you know, you don't have to like overdo it. You're the master chef and you've got this awesome recipe. You don't need to pile on the secret sauce or pile on the secret ingredient. Because if you do, then it kills the entire thing. And it makes it's almost supposed to be like a hint of your style in it. I would say. I don't know. That's just what I like to do. You know, because obviously Diablo, the style that I work in with Emma, probably would not fit in the Diablo universe that well, you know? Might make a nice fan picture or whatever, or a fan art picture, but for this one, I wanted it to have that dark, gritty feeling of Diablo that is so iconic and awesome about it, but then also, again, just that hint, that little pinch of the secret sauce, the secret ingredient just kind of sprinkled in there at the end. And that's what brings the children happiness! Unlike this fan, seriously, I feel like it's getting louder. It's getting louder as I continue with this. But anyway, okay. Continuing. We must forge on. Okay. So I really like the way that this hood is actually laid out. Probably just going to straight up copy that. I'm just going to just refine it. And you guys might wonder, like, oh, well, what about when you have to start coloring? How do you move into color? And I have done a tutorial on adding color to a grayscale portrait. If you guys want to search that in YouTube, that'll give you a little bit of a preview of the process we're going to be making and taking with this. And yeah, that's what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to be doing that process with adding black and white. Now I don't have to worry about clean line art necessarily. All I do, actually, when it comes time to color, is I clean the edges. And that's it. That's literally all I do. I'm going to move this up, move this ear up, move that up. That is now hair, no longer ear. Yes, yes. And there's something about, I don't know, call it like artistic instinct or whatever you want to call it, but sometimes I just feel like when the face is right, like faces are super important to me, right? Like I look here and I look at the hands. I look here and I look at hands. Very first thing I do when I look at a piece. And I ask myself, is this expression believable? Are these hands mimicking and complementing that expression? Because if she's all like ticked off and like ready to, you know, she's just like ready to fight, but then her hands are like this, like they're like, hey, she's got jazz hands going on. It doesn't, it totally kills the immersion and it kills the feeling of the piece. So it's very important that you study your expressions and you get them right. And then don't think that you're done after you just draw a face, because you also have to draw the hands. The hands must match your expression, as well as all the body language and all that stuff. But that, you know, that's, I consider that icing on the cake. The main bits of it, the main cake, is the face and the hands. So study those. Study those well, my friends. Study those well. Okay. So one thing that I liked about this original piece over here is I had this little bell thing, or whatever this is. I don't know what it is. This is existing a little bit lower. Kind of like right there. Looks good. And then it has like this little chain thing that comes out, and then it kind of hooks underneath the hood. Kind of goes underneath the hood. And I like that. So let us put that back in. And see how I just kind of like blend? Like, see how there was that big white space right there? Just go back and blend it in. One thing that you guys want to avoid doing is painting white. Like, don't grab this white and start painting with it, like painting out things. Because what I eventually do is I like to paint my lines. And once you paint the lines, look what happens. See that white that I just did? It's also going to paint the white because it's technically considered on that layer. So try to stay away from doing that. In order to paint white, I just erase away the lines. That's my sculpting technique, as I have told you about in the past. But just in case you forgot, I'd let you know. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and sculpt out this little ball here, whatever this thing is, this chain. See how I'm drawing it? Though I'm not drawing a chain, I'm erasing out the light of where the chain will be. You see, I really hope that makes sense to you guys, because this is something that I think this really is what starts to set apart someone who just, I don't know, I feel like it saves a lot of time as an artist, because now you're no longer concerned with drawing things exactly as they are with lines. Now you almost see them in terms of value. You see it in terms of value, and you paint the value, and then you drop the color behind it. And again, I'll be referencing this many times as we continue throughout the tutorials. But, continuing. And we've been going for about 15 minutes. So let's continue. Let's see if we can actually finish this whole entire monk girl. I bet we can. I bet we can. I bet we can. Probably going to have a little bit of a challenge with that arm there. But you guys can even see my process for how I do that. You can even see my process for how I do that. Okay, so I'm going to put the little shine there. I'll shine underneath here. I try not to put too much emphasis on my line art, to be honest. Because eventually what I like to do with this type of marketing art is I'll eventually end up painting over all of them. So what's the point of having clean line art if you're just going to paint over it in the end? You know? I know some people like to work with like clean layers and all that stuff, and that's all well and good, right? That technique works for you, do it, right? But I'm teaching you my way. I'm not saying it's, you know, be all end all, but it works pretty dang good for me. So, if that sounds interesting to you, then you should try it out as well. Okay, so let's go ahead and paint this other side of the ball. And the other side of this hood thingy. This is actually very bright within here. Yes! Love it. Be sure to compliment yourself as you're drawing with random exclamations, as I do, because it really helps. Alright, so I'm liking that. Let's move on down to the chest area. One of the best parts. I mean, well, it's actually going to be pretty challenging because the monks, they have this really awesome, like, vest thing, right, that comes out and it, like, shows off a lot of the, like, I really want to show off her, like, armpit and, like, the serratus happening within here. But I'm going to have to go ahead and grab some proper reference for that. And I don't know exactly where that stuff is for the moment, so for right now I'm just going to kind of leave it something like that. Maybe put in a little something there. I don't know. Don't want to have too much side boob going on because I'm not a fan of the over-sexifying. I mean, the monks are sexy. Don't get me wrong. Monk girls, sexy. But they don't need to try that hard. They really don't. They're sexy on their own. They don't need to have their boobies hanging out all over the place. So, yes, that is something I'll probably do in a time lapse. I'll show you guys that because anatomy is always tough. It's always tough. And I always use reference. I always use reference for tough anatomy. Especially like armpits. Armpits and just this whole serratus thing that connects to the abs is literally just like, there's like an abyss of unknown knowledge to me. But if you get some good reference, then it works perfectly. And it just makes your piece look so much more awesome. And I try not to, the other thing that I've noticed is that I try not to exaggerate, or I don't know exactly how to put it. Like in comic books, you know how they got the guy like jumping at you and then you see like every single like chiseled, you know, serratus heading to his abs and then like perfectly sculpted pectorals and all this stuff. And I do enjoy that, but I don't know, there's something about like making a character appear strong but still have the muscles almost look a little bit more realistic. I don't know, like there's actually skin over top of them as opposed to just like being completely vacuum sealed perfectly to whatever's going on. But yeah, I don't know, that's just me. I like subtle muscles. I really do. I like subtle, strong muscles. So hopefully you guys will be able to see what I'm talking about when I go into that a little bit more. But for now, yeah, we're going to leave that as it is. Okay, so one thing that I'm really considering as I draw this is where is the fabric being pulled? Because she's going like this, right? She's turning towards us. Her torso is turning like this, but her torso is, it's almost like it's going this way, okay? In fact, let me redraw it. There's a twist in the torso happening here, and it's going like this, okay? So naturally, the cloth is going to be being pulled the opposite way. Your folds are going to be all going that way. Okie dokie. Let's go ahead and take care of that. So yeah, I'm going to focus on bringing a lot of the folds over here like this. A lot of the folds coming over here. And there is like an underlighting happening here. There's an underlighting that I want to be happening on this girl. So let's go ahead and take care of that. And basically all I have to do for that is, basically I just have to consider where the bottom side of her boob is, and then I just erase that out, right, like that. And then the top side, I just shade it. Ah! Easy. Easy, super easy. And the little sash thing, this thing I want to be a lot bigger. This thing needs to be much bigger. And this little thing, I'm going to go back in here and actually design this a little bit better. But the general design of this looks like that. It's going to look something like that. And I got like this big, awesome looking belt thing that comes around like that. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Cool. And then another thing that I really like to do, guys, is I always flip my images. It just gives you some fresh eyes on whatever it is you're working on. And right as soon as I flip this image, I look at this face, and I can tell that everything appears to be pushed over to the side a little bit. Like, look how big this cheek is compared to this one. It's much, much bigger. Then what I do, once I see that, is I cover one side of the face, right, with my hand. I'll just stick it up to the screen. And I ask myself, okay, which side of the face looks better? Is it this side? You know, is it this side right here? Is it this eye or is it this eye? My answer is this eye right here. So I need to bring this cheek in. This cheek is out a little bit too much. So I'm going to go ahead and just kind of mirror that and do one of these things. There you go. Simple. Simple. I likes it. Okay. So another thing that I'm probably going to be doing is, I don't know, I kind of want to either lengthen the waist or just give a little bit more of like that feminine curve to her. Maybe I'll just accentuate her hips a little bit more, kind of like this. Let's get that belt like that. Yeah, something a little bit more along these lines. Yes! Love it. And let's go ahead and move on to the arm. And before we get into that, you might be asking me, Keenan, how did you know how to draw that arm? In perfect perspective and with proper musculature. Well, it might not be perfect. I don't think it's perfect by any means. But the way that I do it is I use this right here. This is one of my best friends, my good mirror. And whenever I'm drawing, you know, like a hand or like a fist, whatever coming at me, I could even use my webcam if I wanted to. And this is actually really nice because it really helps to show, like if you guys have a webcam, I highly recommend that you do this. Because it helps to simulate the perspective that's happening, like the very super foreshortened perspective. And like, you know, see how big my fist gets like this? You know, you can only like kind of guesstimate it when you're looking at it in the mirror. But here, it like, if you screenshot it, it gives you like the exact thing that you need. In fact, I probably should have done that from the beginning. But yeah, and basically what I'm doing when I'm looking in the mirror is I'm paying attention to like little things. And one of the biggest things that I've noticed is, one of the biggest little things I've noticed is just the relationship between your bicep and your forearm. And the way that it kind of fits in like a Lego piece. You can see like how the bicep comes in and then the forearm kind of comes around it. So it's almost like whatever way the bicep is facing, for instance, it's facing out this way, right? The forearm is going to be facing perpendicular to it. And you can see, basically when I point it straight at you, see how my bicep kind of comes out a little bit and then the forearm kind of like dips in a little bit? That's what I'm talking about. Forearm goes this way, bicep goes out that way. And that's one of the biggest things that I think about when I'm drawing muscles. And then anything else that I don't really know, I just kind of use my skinny, scrawny artist arms. And we like that. We like that. So, let's go ahead and start. Well, let me demonstrate exactly what I was talking about. So here is her bicep, right? Her bicep is existing right here. Then because, like if you were to draw a line coming out of it, because it is going, you know, like this way in 3D space, that means the forearm is naturally going to exist around it. It is going to, the forearm opening is going to go this way. Let me do that in a different color so you can actually see. Forearm opening is going to go that way. I really hope that's making sense to you guys. Sometimes these things are tough to explain, but it's one of my favorite things. It's sort of like it's like a hinge. It's like a hinge. I think that's the best way to think about it. It's a hinge. Okay. Now again, I don't want to accentuate the muscles on the girl too much. Definitely want to give her some muscle, but not too much. So basically I could just draw her with my arms, and we'll be good. We'll just draw her with my scrawny arms, and they'll look like girls' arms. Love it! And then also we want to keep in mind our shoulder as well. The shoulder's coming up like this. And it looks really dramatic and cool when it's up like that. Okie dokie. And I'm probably going to be sculpting this and time-lapsing this more than actually drawing this live, because this is probably something that's going to be a little bit challenging for me. Just telling you that right now. But I love this. This is looking really nice. This is looking nice. This is looking nice. A little bit of that, the edge of the chest. Not too much side boob, if anything. In fact, I wonder if I want to give her like some sort of bandages there or something. That might be kind of cool. Because I really don't, yeah. I think I will give her some sort of bandages there. That would look really cool. Because our fine lady needs some support while she's fighting these demons. Alright. Yeah, I'm liking that. Another thing that I'm seeing that I'm really liking is actually just like this little triangle that's happening right here. See that right there? I really kind of want to accentuate that going forward. So I think it looks really nice. Looks really nice. It adds to the piece. And we like that. Liking that a lot. Alrighty, people. So that is a half an hour of a actual live, real time of me sketching and refining my sketch. So I hope that opens your eyes, and I hope that helps you guys out, give you a little bit more of a glimpse into my technique. Just just for the one last time, let's take a look at what we started with right here. I seriously have like a chunk of peanut. I was just eating some peanut butter before I started this, and I feel like it's just lodged right in the back of my throat. But anyway, we started right here, and we ended with, this. Ended with that. Oh my gosh. There we go. So, you can see, that's basically how I go about doing it, guys. And I hope that is some good information. And yeah, I think with that, we're going to go ahead and end today's episode. Thank you guys for joining me on YouTube as usual. Thumbs up if you like it. Thumbs down if you don't. My name is Kienan Lafferty. I'll see you guys tomorrow, where we will be continuing this, perhaps with a time lapse. Ideally, would be if time allows. Until then, you guys take care. See ya.